There are rumors, and then there are rumors that make you stop whatever you're doing and actually pay attention. This is the second kind, because what's being floated right now, quietly, carefully, through people who absolutely know things, is that the Indiana Fever are not as committed to Caitlin Clark as they want the world to believe, and the destination being whispered, Los Angeles. The Sparks, one of the biggest markets in American sports, in a city that has been waiting for a reason to care about women's basketball the same way the rest of the country already does. Now, before you close this out and tell yourself this is just noise, just another hot take from someone chasing clicks, you need to hear who is saying it, because this didn't come from an anonymous account on social media. This didn't come from a blogger with an agenda. This came from Michael Thompson, Lakers legend, two-time NBA champion, father of Klay Thompson, the man who has been doing the pregame and postgame shows for the Los Angeles Lakers for years. A person who is, by definition, plugged into the highest levels of professional basketball on the West Coast. Michael Thompson came out and said, flat out, that he is hearing from a reliable source that the Indiana Fever are tired of Caitlin Clark, done with her, ready to move on. And his message to the Los Angeles Sparks was simple and direct. Go get her. Now. And then, just in case anyone thought it was a slip of the tongue or an offhand comment he'd walk back in 5 minutes, he doubled down, said it again, confirmed it. The Fever are sick of Clark. You hearing that too? That's not a man who misspoke. That's a man who knows something. Think about what it would mean if a figure with equivalent credibility in another sport dropped a bomb like that. If Reggie Jackson went on air and said the Los Angeles Sparks are looking to deal Kelsey Plum. If Mark Jackson said the Sparks are ready to move Cam Brink and Dereka Hamby to Indiana. You'd take that seriously. You'd report it. You'd investigate it. You wouldn't just wave it away because it felt uncomfortable or inconvenient. So, why would anyone wave this away? The answer is that they wouldn't. They can't. And the people who are paying close attention aren't. Michael Thompson didn't say this in a vacuum. Almost immediately after his comments started circulating, Jason Willock, a voice who has been tracking the Clark situation closely and consistently, came out with his own version of the story. The Indiana Fever, according to Willock, are planning to ship Caitlin Clark to the Los Angeles Sparks, and attached to that report was a detail that makes the whole thing feel less like speculation and more like an actual plan already in motion. Corey Close, the UCLA head coach who just won a championship with the Bruins, one of the most respected coaches in women's basketball right now, is expected, according to this reporting, to become the next head coach of the Los Angeles Sparks. And here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because Close hasn't exactly been hiding her feelings about her future in college basketball. She's said publicly, more than once, that the transfer portal era has made college coaching exhausting in a way it never used to be. Building a program, developing players, creating something lasting, all of it gets complicated when your roster can turn over completely every single year. Close has been honest about that frustration. She's been honest about the toll it takes. And when someone at that level starts talking openly about the downsides of their current job, it usually means they're already thinking about what comes next. What comes next, if these reports are accurate, is the Los Angeles Sparks, a franchise that is about to undergo a massive transformation, a franchise that, with the right pieces in place, could become something genuinely significant. And the most important piece of all, she's currently playing in Indiana. 2 separate sources, 2 separate reports, both pointing at the same destination, both arriving within days of each other. That is not coincidence. That is coordination. That is people who know things beginning to let those things be known. Carefully, deliberately, through channels that give everyone plausible deniability while the groundwork gets laid. Here's what makes the Los Angeles scenario genuinely believable beyond just the rumors. The infrastructure for it is already being built. The ownership situation around the Sparks is shifting. the man who just purchased the Los Angeles Lakers, the same owner connected to the Los Angeles Dodgers, one of the most valuable and well-run sports franchises in the country, is exactly the kind of owner who transforms organizations. Not gradually, not carefully, fast, with resources and ambition and a clear understanding that in professional sports, building a winner means going out and getting the best players available and then building everything else around them. If Caitlin Clark ends up in Los Angeles, does anyone seriously think that owner sits back and lets it unfold slowly? The investment in infrastructure, in marketing, in talent around her, in making sure the experience of watching the Sparks becomes something people actually want to do. All of that happens immediately, because that's what serious ownership looks like. That's the difference between a franchise that treats its product like a business and one that, as has been said more bluntly by people close to the situation, runs like a mom and pop store. The Indiana Fever, by multiple accounts, fall into that second category. The people around Clark in Indiana, the front office structure, the decision makers, the leadership, have been described repeatedly by those watching closely as the wrong fit for a player of her magnitude. Not malicious, not incompetent in every sense, just fundamentally misaligned with what it takes to maximize what Clark brings to a franchise and to a league. And it's not just the ownership piece. The Sparks already have Kate Martin on the roster. They already have Cam Brink, a young, talented, developing center who is exactly the kind of player you build around a pass-first offensive engine. The bones are there. The pieces are starting to accumulate. Add Corey Close on the sideline. Add Clark running the offense. Add serious ownership committed to making it work. And suddenly you're not talking about a rebuild. You're talking about a contender. But here's where the story gets layered in a way that goes beyond just trades and rosters and ownership structures. Because the real tension at the center of all of this isn't about basketball. It's about philosophy. It's about two completely different ideas of what a franchise is supposed to do when it has a generational talent. And those two ideas are currently being expressed out loud and on the record by two of the most prominent voices in women's basketball coaching. On one side, you have Corey Close. Her position, stated clearly and without much ambiguity, is that when you have a player like Caitlin Clark, you build everything around her. You construct the infrastructure to support her. You scheme to cover her weaknesses. Because yes, every player has weaknesses, and a great coach's job is to minimize them while maximizing what makes that player special. You make sure the entire organization is moving in one direction, toward one common goal, with the star at the center of everything. Close has said it plainly. If you're going to invest in a player at that level, you have to have the whole organization level up around her. Publicist, marketing, in-game experience, all of it, together. On the other side, you have Lynn Dunn, and Lynn Dunn's philosophy is almost the exact opposite. She's been open about it this week. Sometimes you have to let your best player go. Sometimes the culture of the team, the values of the organization, the cohesion of the locker room matter more than keeping a superstar happy. She's done it before. Cut a star player for academic reasons, watch that player leave the school, and years later received a thank you from that same player for holding the line. Lynn Dunn is not someone who believes the star is untouchable. She never has been. And right now, Lynn Dunn is going out of her way to repost content from Carolyn Peck. If you've been following this situation at all, you know exactly how Carolyn Peck feels about Caitlin Clark. The relationship between Peck's commentary and Clark's trajectory with the Fever has not been warm. So when Lynn Dunn is amplifying that voice, when she's aligning herself publicly with that perspective, it isn't random, it isn't casual, it's a signal. Add to that the fact that Stephanie White has been using the word standard repeatedly in her post-game comments. Lynn Dunn echoes it. Carolyn Peck had already been using it. Three people in and around the same organization gravitating toward the same specific language at the same time. That's messaging. That's coordinated. And what it's communicating, underneath the careful professional phrasing, is that Caitlin Clark is being measured against a standard that she may not currently be meeting to their satisfaction. Which raises the obvious question that nobody in that building wants to answer directly. Whose standard? Defined by whom? And why does it seem like the standard keeps shifting every time Clark has a good game? There is a conversation happening at the highest levels of this league that goes beyond the Indiana Fever, beyond the Los Angeles Sparks, beyond any individual trade rumor. And that conversation involves two people whose names keep coming up whenever the future of women's basketball gets discussed in serious terms: Adam Silver and Kathy Engelbert. Silver has made no secret of his belief that the WNBA's growth depends on its stars being in the right markets, surrounded by the right organizations, positioned to be seen by the largest possible audiences. He navigated the Luka Doncic situation. One of the most talented players in the world, moved to Los Angeles when the circumstances aligned. And the result has been exactly what the league needed: more attention, more investment, more people watching. The question being asked behind closed doors, according to sources close to the situation, is whether Clark's current situation in Indiana is good for the league. Whether the dysfunction, the mixed messaging, the carefully managed public narrative that contradicts what's visible on the floor, whether all of it is serving the WNBA's interests at a moment when the WNBA has never had more momentum or more to lose. Los Angeles is a different proposition entirely. Los Angeles is the second largest media market in the country. It's a city that has a proven history of embracing women's sports when the product is right, when the star is right. It's a city where the infrastructure for maximizing a player's cultural impact already exists in ways that Indianapolis, for all its genuine basketball passion, simply cannot replicate. If the league office is looking at Clark's situation and asking whether she's being properly stewarded, and multiple reports suggest that conversation is happening, then Los Angeles isn't just a trade destination, it's a solution. Nobody is saying a trade is done. Nobody is putting a signed contract on the table or announcing a deal. What is being said by people with real connections, real sources, real credibility, is that the smoke is real. That the Indiana Fever's relationship with Caitlin Clark is more complicated and more fragile than the official messaging wants anyone to believe. That conversations are happening, that scenarios are being explored, that the pieces on the West Coast are being quietly arranged in ways that suggest someone, somewhere, is planning for a specific outcome. The Fever won a game this week. They'll probably win more. Stephanie White will keep talking about standards and culture and the right way to play basketball, and on the surface, everything will look controlled and professional and fine. But underneath that surface, something is shifting. You can see it in the way Clark hesitates on shots she should be taking without thinking. You can see it in the body language on the sideline. You can see it in the coordinated language coming from coaches and front office figures who are supposed to be building her up rather than managing her down. You can see it in the fact that Michael Thompson, a man with nothing to gain from fabricating a story like this, felt comfortable enough in his sources to say what he said, twice, on the record. Caitlin Clark is the most important player in women's basketball, possibly the most important player women's basketball has ever had in terms of what she means to the league's growth, its visibility, its future. The idea that the organization currently holding her contract might be fumbling that, might be actively, even if unintentionally diminishing what she brings, should concern everyone who cares about where this league is headed. Los Angeles is waiting. The ownership is ready. The coach may already be lined up. The roster pieces are accumulating. And somewhere in Indianapolis, in rooms where cameras aren't allowed and reporters aren't welcome, people are having conversations that could change the entire trajectory of the WNBA. The question isn't whether this gets messy. It already is messy. It's been messy for weeks. The question is, what happens next, and whether Caitlin Clark ends up somewhere that actually deserves her. Because right now, Based on everything being said by everyone who knows anything, Indiana might not be that place anymore. And Los Angeles might be exactly where this was always headed. If this video opened your eyes, do me a favor. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know exactly where you stand on this. Like the video if you got something out of it. Share it with someone who needs to see it. And if you aren't subscribed yet, hit that button right now and turn on the notification bell. More is coming on this story, and you do not want to miss it.